Hello everyone, I'm Weston's Weather. In today's video, we break down the upcoming severe weather coming to the United States over the course of the next 3 days. And starting off with things, we have multiple risk areas to cover, but we're going to start off with the biggest one with an enhanced risk in play today across portions of Nebraska and Iowa. A large slight risk around that right now to currently in play. And then we do actually have a marginal risk surrounding that is very large. Then we have a marginal risk up here in portions of Minnesota, North Dakota, and Montana. A marginal risk extending from Maine back into Ohio with a slight risk also inside of that. And then we also have a marginal risk over here on the East Coast. And today's biggest threats are going to be the chance for a few tornadoes, maybe perhaps even a strong one here in that corridor in portions of Nebraska and Iowa. And then in that green shaded area, we do actually have the chance for a tornado or two as well. So make sure you are staying weather aware. You can see here, so we could see some damaging winds that actually do exceed 75 miles an hour. So we're definitely going to be watching, but 75-mile-an-hour winds could happen anywhere in that dashed area right there. And then we do actually have a 15% hatch tail risk today. And with that hatch tail risk, we could see some hailstones that do actually exceed 2 inches in diameter. Now, this is actually a current ongoing severe threat. We do actually have a tornado watch in place in those yellow boxes with a severe thunderstorm watch in place in those kind of pink shaded boxes. And then these orange shaded boxes are severe thunderstorm warnings at the time of recording this video. Moving on to the day 2 outlook, we do actually have a very weird looking outlook, especially once we get onto probabilities. We do actually have a marginal risk here from the northeast back onto portions of the eastern coast. A pretty large slight risk, but pretty slim too, with a very large and wonky marginal risk in play across that area too. And here's where the probabilities get a bit weird. Now, the tornado risk doesn't look like anything like wonky. 2% tornado risk. I do think this could be extended across portions of that area. We're definitely going to watch it, and we actually may see further expansion south of our slight risk too. The wind threat, nothing really wonky out of that apart from this 5% risk. And then we have our 15% risk and our 5% risk that is just over a very weird area, this outlook. Very weird how it just cuts off here and just goes back up. So definitely weird. But here, the hail outlook, I mean, this is crazy. I mean, we just have a outlook that has a huge gap in the middle of it. I mean, not very often that we see this type of outlook, but obviously it's there, so definitely going to be watching it. Then moving on to the day 3 outlook, we do actually have another slight risk for portions of Michigan and a very large marginal risk around it. And depending on what we see in terms of storm mode, I do actually think we could actually see a second slight risk across this area. I do think it's possible, but it all is going to depend on storm mode down there. And I do actually think a few tornadoes, especially back here in Texas and New Mexico, are going to be possible on Saturday. Moving on to the models, we should actually probably make this 19Z since 20Z is just rendering in. This is what we could see today. And you can tell supercells have already fired, but they are exploding, as you can tell here. On the HRRRs, they're going to push east into portions of western Iowa. And then they're going to get kind of messy and pose a bit of a damaging wind threat. But this is where our tornado risk is the highest, is right around here. As our SIG-TOR values, they're not super high, but they're over a large area. So we're definitely having to watch this. It's a very unstable air mass in place. Some areas are reaching upwards of 4,000 joules per kilogram of CAPE. So this whole area is just a very unstable air mass, and any discrete storm that can get going could actually produce a strong tornado or two. Bringing it south for the risk, mainly in portions of Kansas, you can tell supercells are ongoing. And then once those die out, I do actually think right now a tornado risk is actually in play, as these storms are pretty discreet. But as we move forward, we're going to get a pretty messy line move through, which will pose that damaging wind risk. And why I say that there is actually a tornado risk, it's not really showing up on here, but if I go ahead and look at updraft helicity swaths, you can tell we're getting some areas of updraft helicity, so we're definitely going to watch it. And it's also a decently good environment out here, so we're definitely watching that too. Here, as we bring it north for today in our marginal risk area, you can tell storms are going to fire, and they're likely going to stay in Canada. We may see one right up along the border, so we're going to be watching it, and any storm that actually could get going up here along the border could actually produce some large hail and gusty winds, but overall, I think the highest severe threat should stay in portions of Canada, and we should just be seeing mostly rain, maybe some gusty winds across all of North Dakota. Moving into the northeast here for today, we actually have a slight risk here, and we should also bring this to 19Z, but slight risk in effect, and overall the storms are currently pretty much ongoing, so we're going to have to watch right in here. But overall, I do think some damaging winds and large hail are going to be possible. I don't think that is going to evolve too much, though. And here we are, 19Z for today here in portions of the East Coast and Southeast. We actually could get a few intense storms down here, as they are very clustered together in portions of South Carolina and portions of Georgia. But I do think we could actually see some winds up to 70 miles an hour there. I am not ruling that out. Also over here in portions of, I believe this is North Carolina, yes, and parts of northeastern North Carolina, we actually could, I think, see a brief potential tornado, or maybe even a water spout if it does move offshore, as I do just think that there is enough cape there to produce it. Now, the STP is not really there, but it's low, so there's definitely the chance if we could see a storm on like the southern end become a little more discreet, then we definitely could see a tornado out of it. And here's the 18Z of what we can expect tomorrow. And this pretty much shows you our whole risk area, so that is why I only have it on this area. You can tell that these are the storms from today. They're going to move out. And here we are into tomorrow. We're actually going to see a damaging wind threat evolve in portions of Iowa and push to the east. And this is going to race to the east, and it is going to stay like this. And I am actually a bit concerned here. And obviously, we can't see out far enough, but then we get another line that develops and starts to push to the east-southeast. And I honestly do think tomorrow another enhanced risk is possible, but across this area. So we are definitely going to watch this very closely, and I will not be home, but I will have a short uploaded if this happens. Now, moving on to what radar could look like over the next couple of weeks. This is the GFS model. You can tell I just showed you the jet stream yesterday, so I'm not going to show that. I'm going to be showing you what radar could look like here. So as you can tell, multiple storm events in the northern plains still and into the northeast. And we actually could here around the 18th get a low pressure system start to spin here near Florida, and this could actually produce a tropical storm. It is all entirely possible, and you can tell just rain on top of rain for a lot of areas here for a long time. And here at the end of the run, I'm going to show you right here on hour 384. I'm going to go to total precipitation. Now, take this with a grain of salt as we're looking out through like the rest of the month, and there's going to be areas that, yes, they are going to see this rain, and other areas that may see like hardly any rain, in an area that is pinpoint to have a lot right now. But as you can tell here on the East Coast, from that potential tropical storm or maybe even a weak hurricane, lots of rain, upwards of 10 inches. Now, that will not play out, I promise you. You can tell we're currently looking at widespread rain across the United States, with an exception for portions of Nevada and California. But looks like rain for the entire United States for the most part, at least in the next month. And the European model is likely going to show that too if we go and take a look at it. As you can tell, it shows all these storm systems and all this rain falling. And with all that rain, we're going to be having to watch that flooding threat. So we're definitely going to be watching it. And here's the total precip accumulation through July 16th. This is only 6 day. So you could get a bit more like accurate information off this. But anywhere east of this line looks like it is likely you're going to see rain in the next week. Before we end off here, I would like to thank you guys so much for 945 subscribers. It is a dream to have got here, and to think that we're only 55 subscribers away at the time of uploading this video. We are only 55 from 1K, and that is absolutely crazy. As if I actually go ahead and bring it back here right before we end off the video to the start of 2025, January 1st, we had 69 subscribers, and we have grown all the way to 945. This is crazy, and I could not do it without you guys and having one of the best communities out there, if not the best. So thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe as we push for 1K, and I'll see you in the next one.